Hello, thank you for joining today's live executive webinar session of Bimser International. Today, we'll talk about 7 considerations to manage documentation in this digital age and introductions to QDMS software for digital compliance. Thank you for watching and thank you for your interest. Today, I have my colleagues with me. I have Alex Kvartirov from MRAS Consulting, and Alex will be with us to share some insights with us with regards to 7 considerations to manage documentation. Also with us today, we have Sam Watt from pre-sales engineering team at Bimser International, and Sam will be talking about and demonstrating about QDMS software in our live demo environment. My name is Kevin Devecioglu. I am the Managing Director of Bimser International. We all are connecting from New York today, and we'll be sharing information with you with regards to managing documentation and how to comply digitally. If that's okay, Alex, we can start with you. And
sure.
We can learn from you if that's okay with regards to management of documentation. I'll make you the presenter.
Sure, Kevin. Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, it's coming up. All right, there it is. You are the presenter right now. We can see your screen. Okay, looks good. Thank you, Alex.
All right, very good. Okay, well, thank you very much, Kevin, for inviting me to make this presentation on documentation management in the digital age. And I'm going to be talking about 7 considerations how to manage documentation. And today I'm not going to focus on ISO, which I normally do, but I will refer to ISO because I think ISO provides a lot of very good guidelines on how to manage, specifically how to manage documents. So I will refer to what ISO recommends. But before I start, I just want to introduce myself and also my company, MRAS Consulting. I am a certified ISO 9001 lead auditor, and I'm the sole proprietor of MRAS Consulting. I've established MRAS Consulting in 2015 after a lengthy career as a project manager in a large aerospace company, which is certified to the AS91 quality standard, which is the aerospace standard. But currently, I provide consulting services to businesses to help them achieve and maintain ISO certification. And back in 2018, I became a Bimser Solutions partner. What happened was I met Kevin, and he introduced me to the tools that Bimser International is offering, and I was very impressed with the QDMS tool because it is really designed to help manage all of the data that's associated with ISO. So I was so impressed with its capabilities that I decided to become a partner and help to merge the tools capability with the requirements of ISO. And I also present a number of webinars and lectures on various ISO topics. So let's talk about ISO requirements for documentation management. Now I mentioned before that's not an ISO presentation, but I think that really ISO provides good guidance as to what you really should do to control all of your documentation. And it's all stated in paragraph 7.5.3.1 in the 2015 version of ISO 9001. And it really gives you a lot of leeway as to what your organization should do, but I think there's some top level guidance, which I think is important to kind of cover. So this will help you think about how to set up your own documentation management system. So ISO 9001-2015 states that a QMS should maintain documented information to the extent necessary for operation of processes, and retain documented information to the extent to have confidence that the processes are being carried out as planned. Okay, so it's a kind of a generic statement, but I think what it really also implies is that the organization has to set up the detail of how to manage documentation, okay, and all the processes that are part of the organization, which really are set up based on the products and services that the organization is providing. And also, obviously, the documented information depends on the complexity of the organization's processes and their interactions, and obviously a lot on the competence of the personnel that's part of the organization. So some of the points that are required in ISO 9001, and again, this is, I think, applicable to any organization that's not even contemplating in becoming ISO certified. I think it's just a good practice to follow the guidelines of ISO 9001. So there are 7 points which I'd just like to briefly go over. First is all the internal documents have to be approved for adequacy prior to issue. In other words, you should have an internal process of deciding who will be approving the document. Obviously, the author, a reviewer as a minimum, and then somebody from management. And again, depending on the nature of the document, somebody in the management of that particular part of the organization should be approving the document, as well as, and this is very important, somebody from quality. Quality has to make sure that the document meets the internal company quality standards. So number 2 is the document has to clearly identify the changes that are made as part of the revision status. Obviously, all the documents, or I would say most documents, go through a revision status as part of the project. And the number 1, the revision level has to be clearly identified, not only on the cover page, but on every page of the document, so there's no confusion as to which revision level is the document at. And also, the document has to have the traceability of the changes that were made from the previous version. And again, the revised document has to be approved by the approver of the original version of the document. Also now, the document have to be made available at points of use. So whoever needs to use it, it must be readily made available to him. Because otherwise, there's going to be a search so you're wasting time in searching where the document is. And there's always some danger of not getting the latest copy of it. So it's very important that however system you have, and again, I will talk a little more about the digital age where hopefully the documentation control is electronic. However, it's still permissible to use hard copies, but it obviously has a lot of limitations. Namely, it won't be available at all the points of use. Now, also, we have to ensure that the documents are legible and readily identifiable. In other words, the title of the document should be very clear. And again, the revision, whatever process or system the organization adopts as far as naming the revisions. Some companies label the revisions as 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Other companies go A, B, C, D. It doesn't matter. Both are acceptable, but as long as you're consistent and make sure that that process is followed. Also, you have to identify the external documents and control their distribution. Now, obviously, any organization has external documents to deal with, namely documents from the customer or from the regulatory organizations. And those documents also change as well. They get revised. And again, it is the management, documentation management responsibility to make sure that the latest version is provided to the cognizant people that need to use those documents. It's very important to make sure that they're distributed anytime that changes are made. Now, also, a very important part is how do you control the obsolete documents and make sure that the users are not continuing to use an obsolete version. For example, if let's say there's a test procedure, and let's say because of the test tolerance is too wide. So in other words, as a result of that, the customer complains that some of the products don't meet the specs. So engineering decided to tighten the test tolerance and make it a lot tighter so that some of the products would be rejected and would not get to the customer. And let's say that the test technician made a hard copy and he's using the hard copy, and then this document was revised and he was not aware of that, and he keeps on using the original document with the wider tolerances, and therefore the some of the out-of-spec units are still being delivered to the customer. So here is an example where there's got to be internal control and make sure that the users of the document are notified when a documentation is revised, so that even if he makes a hard copy of it, and if the document is revised, that he gets and prints out the latest version. So obviously there's got to be some control in management to do that. And again, obsolete documents, they still should be retained for history, but they should be either placed in a folder which is a historical folder which may not be accessible to the users. So there'd be really no confusion as far as using a obsolete document. Let me also address some considerations in defining a documentation system. Okay, and again, there happen to be 7 issues that I kind of bringing up. It doesn't mean that there are any, there are more of them, but this is basically the 7 that I thought would be relevant to this discussion. So obviously, you need to identify your goals. Okay, what kind of documentation is required for your organization? So this is a kind of a high-level decision, and here a decision should be made whether you're going to go with a digital age and store the documents in a digital format versus storing hard copies. Now, you could have a combination of both, and that's still acceptable, but there are a lot of advantages in going and having all the documentation in digital format. Then you have to review your company size. Obviously, how large is the organization? Do you have multiple sites? Do the documents have to be accessible throughout the various sites? And so that's, again, a consideration of what kind of a documentation system you need to establish. Then the next one is really, you have to think about who will be using the system. Is that, trained individuals that are very familiar with the documentation system, or somebody that is not highly trained and has to be really given, in other words, given on a platter what the information that he needs to do his or her job. So that is very important to determine who in the organization will have to access the documentation system. Also, where will people using the system? And especially, I think that's an important point in today's environment, where a lot of people are working from a remote location and they need to access the document. And if the document is stored in on a computer or in a file cabinet, it may be very difficult for the individual to access the document from a remote location. So then he's got to ask somebody to maybe send the document to him. But again, that creates a lot of problems. So accessibility is a very important consideration. Also, the budget. Okay, obviously, a documentation system costs money, and they're very elaborate systems that are very expensive, but there are systems which fully meet the, let's say, documentation requirements of ISO, such as QDMS, which Sam will be demonstrating in a few minutes. So those are the considerations that you have to think about. What tools you would need to maintain your documentation system. And again, a lot depends on the nature of the industry, because the industry really drives what kind of documents you need to have and control. So looking at maybe some of the competitors and what are they doing, what are they using, I think it could be very helpful. And the last item, which really ISO does not address, at least the 2015 version. I'm sure the next version, which will be coming out in a few years, will definitely address, is security. Okay, so how do you maintain security of all your documentation system? And certainly we had a lot of news recently about ransomware, cyber attacks on extremely large companies. They were paralyzed for days, and they had to pay a ransom. So again, this is not the topic for my presentation, but again, this is very important consideration, is how you're going to maintain security of your documentation system. Okay, as a really conclusion, as far as what kind of recommendations I would offer, let's say, to set up a documentation system. Well, as I mentioned before, I think you should strive for digital compliance and attempt to get most of your, if not all of your documentation in digital format. And where you can, maybe in some cases you can't, but where you can, eliminate hard copies, because again, as I mentioned before, it would have certain constraints on managing your organization. And obviously, if you're going digitally, you would certainly need some software tools. And again, as I mentioned, QDMS does offer a lot of advantages because, you know, number one, since all of the documentation that's stored within QDMS on its server, it gives you the capability to disseminate all that information and allow communication to flow very freely within the entire organization or whoever is authorized to access that particular documentation. Again, very important, it supports remote work. So if you're working, let's say, at home, and again, you will have same access to all the documentation system as if you're on site. And again, as another advantage of it is that virtual audits, and any organization should perform audits, whether they're certification audits or just internal audits, just to make sure that the internal processes are followed. Those audits could be conducted virtually if you're using a tool like QDMS. And again, so we're focusing today on documentation, but QDMS tool has a lot of other functions beyond just maintaining control over your documentation that really satisfies all of the required functionality for ISO certification. So that really concludes my presentation, and I'd like to turn it over back to Kevin. Well, thank you very much for your attention.
Alex, thank you very much for your informative presentation. Let me take over the screen so we can continue our executive webinar session. As we all learned from Alex's presentation, documentation is critical for companies, and there are ways to manage it efficiently and in a productive way. So having said that, how do we also manage documentation digitally, and how do we actually do it in this digital age? That is why we put together this part of our webinar session. We call it Show and Tell. In this part of our executive webinar session, we'll be talking about QDMS software. QDMS is a quality, risk, audit, performance, and compliance management software. It's been in the market since 1998, and it has more than 1 million professional users with reputable organizations using QDMS on a daily basis. We'll share more information about QDMS in a minute. In this part of our webinar session, we'll be talking about control document management, waste record management, incident management, reports, and executive dashboard as to how we can actually manage these activities on QDMS in a digital environment. Just like Alex mentioned earlier, while we are managing these important tasks, these operations, we also need to consider security of our documents and records. And my colleague Sam will be performing this demonstration. He'll also show you how you can manage your documents, your records in terms of waste management, in terms of instant management, and he'll also show us how to manage security functionalities while managing these documentation and records on QDMS in a paperless and digital environment. Having said that, I'd like to invite my colleague Sam Watt to our virtual stage for him to talk about QDMS and for him to perform a brief demonstration of QDMS regarding document management, instant management, and waste management. Sam, if you're ready, please take over the screen. Looks good, thank you.
All right, sounds great. And thank you for the presentation from Alex, and also thank you for introducing me, Kevin. And this is Sam, the pre-sales software engineer of Bimser International based in New York. In the following, I will demonstrate you QDMS, our quality risk audit and performance management system. And as for QDMS, it is a web-based system. That means after we deploying the system on your cloud or on-premise server, you can connect to your system through the web browser, like Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, Safari, you name it. Whatever web browser that you are using, then you can connect to your own QDMS system. And by using QDMS, it helps you manage your control documents digitally, and also helps you to minimize the usage of the paper, especially while you're managing your incidents and also your waste within your company. So you don't have to write it down or on the paper or using any Excel file. And actually, we can manage all those records within our system. And this is the homepage after you log into QDMS. You can see all the pending tasks and also the request for approval right after you log in. And as for like the document that is waiting for your review and approval, you can open the widget and then have a quick connection to this particular request. QDMS is a permission-based system. Not everyone can see everything. You will see what you're supposed to do based on the permissions that are granted to your account. Different users have different permissions based on their role, position, profession, department, and group. I am now logging in as the admin so that I have the full control of the system. On the top left, this is the main menu of QDMS. QDMS provides over 30 modules that allow you to digitize all the quality management related operations by using our system. And thanks to the modular structure, you can pick and choose the modules that you want to have and install on your server. That means if you have the challenges in terms of managing your control documents or for your incidents and even to your waste management activities, then you can pick these 3 modules, which I will dive into in this webinar, and deploy on your server. And let us get into the control document management module. In this module, you can manage or upload your control documents like your SOPs, specifications, procedures, policies, and even training materials. So those documents that you have uploaded will be saved in our system, and QDMS will be the final stop for all your control documents. Furthermore, we can manage the revision of our document. That means we can update the document from our local and then start the revision process within QDMS. And the version number of your document will be incremented automatically by the system. Therefore, we can always keep tracking the changes of our control documents. Besides, we can define the folder structure based on the document type, locations, departments, or any other way that you want to manage your folder structure. And this is the folder structure that we have in the demo environment. And once the folder structure, the folders, they are ready, and also the documents, they are ready, do I have to download anything to read my document, like other software, application, or the document itself? Do I have to download it? No, you don't. By using QDMS, we can simply open the document that we have uploaded to the system and open it right away in the built-in browser of the system. And QDMS supports different file formats to be uploaded and opened in the built-in browser. like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, PDF, image, and even video and audio, like MP4 and MP3. Those can be opened within this built-in browser, and we can scroll up and down and start reading our document. On the top, there are different tabs that we can interact with, like finding the basic document information of this particular file. We can see the creation date, creator, and also the revision date, for example. And all the version will be saved in an archive of QDMS. That means your previous version of your document will not be deleted at all in our system. And as long as you have the permission, you can also get back to the previous version and see what is different between two different versions. And as you see right here, nothing is highlighted. And then if you do not have the permission, the system always shows you the most up-to-date version, which means the latest version of your document. While we are uploading and updating the documents, we can manage the permissions to the users and user groups, like reading, printing, revising, getting back to the previous version, or deleting the document. We can manage the activities or the actions that the users or user groups can interact with our document. Also, we have a distribution list. Whoever in this distribution list, they will receive a notification once this document is uploaded or updated. Let me give you an example. Like our company policy, all the managers are supposed to be familiar with the company policies. And then once we have our policy updated as a new version in this control document management module, then all the manager, like we add the manager group into this distribution list. All the managers, they will receive a notification in their own QDMS account and also in their email inbox. And the message will, it is configurable, but that will be like, the company policy is updated. Please feel free to read this in QDMS so that we can make sure everyone is performing their task and also be familiar with all the control documents that we have in QDMS. And while we are uploading and updating our document, we can also invite different users as an approver in this particular for managing or approving this request. As we find something wrong in the document, instead of contacting the creator, we can also contact the approver, saying we find a typo, for example. We find a typo in the control document. Do we have to change it? Because right now, QDMS again is the final stop for all our control documents. And here is where the reference comes from in terms of all the documents that we have in the organization. At last, all the actions will be saved in an archive of the system. Therefore, this is the audit trail that helps you keep tracking and monitor all the performance and also actions that the users carry out against your documents or in your system. In this history page, it shows you the username, action type, and also date and time. Then you can tell who did what on what date. And in QDMS, there is a reporting tool that allows us to create different ready-made reports. For example, the document status report. Before having our report come up on our screen, we can put the criteria or the condition, different criteria and conditions to this report. Like as for the status, we want to see those are in revision and also those are published. Then we can make our searching and all your records will be shown in this list. And on the top, there are search bars provided that allow you to have your quick searching. For example, I enter part of the keyword. Then, whichever record that contains this keyword or this part of the keyword will be updated in the list, in below list. You are more than welcome to export your report into Excel or PDF for sharing with any responsible party. And in QDMS, we also have the waste management module. And by using this module, we can design different waste management form. And all the form that it is configurable. And in this module, we separate them by manufacturer, transportation company, and receiving company. That means in order to handle and record all the waste transaction or the movement, we have these three main parties in our system, and can be more for sure. Saying after the transportation company, like transporting our waste, then we have a receiving company, receiving company, and after that we will have like a storage company, for example. Those are configurable, but we have these three main parties involved in for waste management. Then we can enter the information for the manufacturer, like who produced this waste, like where it comes from, where the waste comes from. And then we can also pick and choose the household code. It's vary from state and also by the federal regulation, so that we can have our household code here and pick and choose those it is applicable to this particular record. And also the waste definition, where is this come from? It's about from mining or from agriculture, from it's about oil refination or heat treatment, for example. Then we can pick and choose the one that is applicable to the waste definition. As for the waste management, we have to define it in order to keep tracking all the waste that we have managed in our company. Also, we can record it, the property, physical property, like physically how the waste looks like. It's soil, solid, liquid, gas, powder, for example, and then also the color. All the drop-down lists in this form, they are also configurable as well. So based on the actual operation of your company, we can define the items that we can see in the drop-down list. It is also important for us to manage the weight, like the ton, meter square, meter cube, or kilogram. Or even we can have like pound, or let's say ounce. Those can be an item in a drop-down list as well. Right after that, we can have a workflow saying we have the manufacturer records recorded or saved. Then the status of this record will come into the transportation company. And as for the movement of our waste, it is also essential for us to record the transportation company. And then the license number of this company, the vehicle, like is what it is about, like the vehicle of what kind of vehicle that we have applied it, and also transport type. Like it's by ship, like vessel or train or truck. And at last, we can record the receiving company, like who is which company taking care of this particular waste that we have produced. And also the method, like what they have done to our waste. Are they going to use it for reproduction, or for recycling, or for purification, and also the date that they receive this waste. So all the records related to your waste management activities can be managed in this module. And again, For the fields and also the form design and workflow, those are configurable in our system. That means based upon the actual operation of yours, then we will configure QDMS during the implementation session. At last, we come to the incident management module. As you know, when we are running the business, we will have certain incidents, no matter what, like near miss, something on fire, or something got stolen. We have to report all these incidents in order to manage and avoid it in the future. So that in this incident management module, we can design different forms based upon your actual operation. Yes. So we can have like an incident form, which is very straightforward with recording the date, the name, and the date of incident. Or we can be first specific, like if you comply with certain standard or regulation, then we can design a form like this based upon, again, your preference and your expectation. And in QDMS, we can also manage the workflow, like once after we send this out, saying it is now ready, I'm going to do it quickly, like the phone number, and then the last name and first name and last name. Once we fill this up, then this request will be sent into the workflow, and this workflow is configurable. As it is right here, once it is ready, okay, and we will send this into the workflow, and the approver can find this particular request on their homepage. What you are seeing now on your screen is now the request is approved and submitted to the approver, shown as below. So you may notice it's still myself because for demo purposes, I am the approver as well. So as the approver, I can find this incident record or report right on my home screen, and I can get a quick connection to it. You can tell from the start date and also the username right here. This is exactly the one that we have just created. And then as the approver, I see a different view on the form. Like right now, I have to enter the description of the incident, witnesses, and so forth and so on. In the workflow, we can also manage the view of the form in QDMS as well. So you can tell the flexibility of QDMS. In terms of managing the incident, we are not only record keeping it, but we can also manage the whole workflow. Like for different approvals or different steps, we have to report or record different information. Those can be accomplished by using our system. Also, in our incident management module, we have a graphical report. And the graphical report shows your data in a readable way, or visualize your data, I must say. Saying I want to see which department that has the most incidents occurred, like saying starting from the beginning. Then your data will be shown as a pie chart and also as a table. And by coming to this graphical report, it helps you understand which department has the most incidents and also helps you manage your future action planning. Saying we have our department as administration department. It has the most incidents. And then maybe we can carry out a training or any other actions in order to minimize the incidents occurred in this department. And with the graphical report that you generate in QDMS, you can export it into Excel, PDF, or image for sharing with any responsible parties or for your own documentation. And this is how our system allows you to manage your control document or your documentation digitally, and also all your quality management related activities digitally as well. You can get rid of all your papers and get rid of using Excel file. Those will be managed in one system and all in one place. This is the end of my demonstration on a high level. Thank you very much.
Sam, thank you very much for performing this demonstration. Let me take over the screen and we can continue our session. As you saw during Sam's demonstration, you can manage your documents, you can manage permissions of your documents, you can manage security priorities based on your company's security policies on QDMS in a digital environment. You can also manage incidents. You can manage records of waste and waste management in a digital environment of QDMS. All of these modules, and there are more than 30 modules as I mentioned earlier, all of these modules come with ready-made reports and graphical tools for your managerial review and analysis. In this part of our webinar session, I like to talk about QDMS in general, some additional information for you. Bimser International is the maker of QDMS software. As Bimser International, we are based in New York and we have global presence. In essence, we help companies adopt digital transformation and simplify their business processes. We have global presence. While we are based in New York, we have presence in Europe, we have presence in Middle East, and we are active worldwide in South America, Africa, Asia, Australia, and New Zealand are some of the regions that we are very active in. We are ISO 9001 certified, ISO 27001 certified, and ISO 15504 certified. As for QDMS, we've been developing QDMS since 1998. It's a mature system. There are more than 1,000 corporate clients using QDMS on a daily basis, and there are more than 1 million professional users of QDMS. QDMS is a standalone quality, risk, audit, compliance management software. It is also ready to work with many different other systems. For example, QDMS is a Acumatica ERP certified solution. Also, QDMS is a Sage Intacct ERP certified solution located in Sage and Acumatica's marketplaces, available for those companies using these ERP systems on a daily basis. Let's talk about some benefits of QDMS. With the help of QDMS, you can manage your quality and compliance management system in a digital environment with no need of paper. You can take control of your quality management system. QDMS has reminders, notifications, and escalations available, so that helps you take control and manage the process and follow up the tasks that you set with your team members and departments at your organization. It helps you take actions for continuous improvement, for corrective action. Also, you can prepare your department, your company for audits. You can perform internal audits, and you'll be ready for certification audits or surveillance audits at your organization with the help of QDMS digitally. Also, you create a corporate memory with the help of QDMS. Data, information stays on your cloud or on your server, and you can access your compliance documents and records from anywhere. It also helps you increase your productivity by the fact that it's digital. You can access it from anywhere, and also you can comply with many different quality and compliance management standards on QDMS. You can comply with ISO, SQF, and BRC in food industry, IATF in automotive industry, AS 9100 in aerospace industry, and many other standards you can comply with and manage with the help of QDMS in a digital environment. It has a web-based architecture technology. What it means is you can access your quality operations and data from anywhere just by using a web browser, just like connecting another website, which makes things much easier because nowadays many companies working remotely or hybrid, so that makes things easier with this modern technology. It is easy to use, so once we train you to use QDMS or admin QDMS as a leader of quality or compliance management operations at your organization, you can easily manage QDMS without any IT or consultant support. Our product support is 24 hours for QDMS, and we'll be supporting your efforts in any time zone. QDMS has advanced integration capabilities. It can connect with ERP systems, CRM systems, manufacturing execution systems, IoT devices, and any other modern software to pull and push data. The idea is to avoid double entry and automate your business processes in a digital environment. So we have these capabilities to integrate and automate your business processes in the scope of quality and compliance management. QDMS is vertical free. We've been deploying QDMS in many different industries: manufacturing, pharma, medical device, healthcare, energy, mining, and many other industries are okay for QDMS to be deployed. That is why we have many different customers from these industries and verticals. QDMS integrates with smart sensors. For example, we have a ready-made integration with Halo Smart Sensors for automating quality management operations. Smart sensor monitors environment in terms of temperature, air quality, humidity, and so on. If there is anything out of range, it triggers automatic audits or inspections on QDMS to automate and digitize your quality management operations. This helps you become proactive. And before anything goes wrong, just by the fact that you can actually monitor what is going on in your environment, it'll basically helps you take action before anything breaks down. QDMS has more than 30 modules. And today, my colleague Sam earlier talked about and performed control document management, waste management, and incident management, followed by reports, dashboards, and other managerial tools that are available on QDMS. In addition, there are other modules available on QDMS, more than 30 modules, for example, corrective action, root cause analysis, audit management, calibration management, risk management, change management, as well as surveys and management review modules are available on QDMS. You can pick and choose any module you like. The advantage of modular structure is you can pick the part of the software that you need. You don't have to get everything, more than 30 modules, but you can get what you need in terms of automating and digitizing your business processes. That makes things much easier for you. QDMS works with your laptop, your desktop, your tablet, and smartphone, because there is a native mobile application of QDMS available for Android as well as iPhone, iOS devices. Great. So that is my presentation to share some more additional information with you with regards to QDMS. That's our quality, risk, audit, performance, and compliance management software. Before we end our session, Alex, do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to share with us?
Sure. Yes, I just wanted to, as a takeaway, emphasize that for any organization, whether you're a manufacturing or service organization, whether you're large or small, whether you're certified to some standard like ISO or you're not, you need to have a documentation management system. And yes, you can do it the hard way. You can store everything in file cabinets, and that's to a certain extent acceptable, but why not make your life a lot easier and support your system? And you obviously have to establish the system, but then support it with a tool like QDMS. And from my own experience, where I was not aware of the QDMS tool while I was involved in my former business, I now see what I've missed. And had I had access to such a tool, it would have made everybody's life a lot easier. So I think this is a very important part of any organization, is to have a tool like QDMS.
Thank you, Alex. Much appreciated. Before we end our session, I'd like to let you know that we have recordings of our annual virtual conference and summit called Synergize. This year, we talk about remote work and digital transformation. Recordings and videos are available on our YouTube channel. You can watch our informative sessions about digital transformation and remote work on our YouTube channel. Also, we are getting ready for next year. Synergize 2022 is on the way. And next year, we'll be talking about how to automate business processes in this digital age. So we'll continue to synergize with you and share more educational and informational content with you at our Synergize annual virtual summit and conference organizations. Our YouTube channel is very active, and every week we generate new content, new educational and informative content on our YouTube channel. So you can find content about digital transformation, manufacturing 4.0, automation, quality 4.0, cloud technology, and predictive maintenance management. And there are many other popular technology and automation-related subjects are covered on our YouTube channel. Thanks to our contributors and our videos available on our YouTube channel. So please visit our YouTube channel and subscribe to be notified every time that we have a new video available on our YouTube channel. Our Eventbrite page is designed to help you learn about our coming events. You can visit our Eventbrite page and see what type of events are coming from Bimser International, and we can register for those that you are interested. I'd like to thank you for your time and thank you for your interest. We are looking forward to having you at our coming executive webinar sessions. Thank you and have a nice day.